After a short hiatus, it is time for my army to grow even stronger. You didn't think I forgot about my ultimate plans of total world domination, did you? You didn't think I forgot about my plans of setting up the most illustrious, most diabolical, most evil and advanced villainous lair in the Arctic Circle, did you? It's been a while since we've recruited another SCP to our army to go to war, mainly with North Korea. SCP-2000! It's like the Terminator. Deus Ex Machina.
Bergman was an accomplished senior researcher for the SCP Foundation. Her years of hard work studying anomalies and dedication to the
She kinda bad, I know, I ain't gonna cap, dude.
Foundation had earned her a Level 3 security clearance, allowing her to access a bevy of secret information across the Foundation's vast network. As a researcher and a scientist, Dr. Bergman was the naturally inquisitive type. She wanted to know everything there was to know about the strange and esoteric universe around her. That's why, when she heard about the file for SCP-2000, one of the organization's best-kept secrets, she was hooked. The only problem was that just to view the file, you had to be on the O5 Council or have a special subset of Level 4 clearance known as 4-2000. Unfortunately, Dr. Bergman was only a Level 3, but you know what they say. The forbidden fruit always tastes the sweetest. Dr. Bergman had given the Foundation years of service.
She gonna do the thing.
Be in breaking the rules?
She gonna do the thing that they do in the movies, you know, where they like seduce, you know, they get all seductive. And say maybe unbutton an extra button on the lab coat, you know?
Behind the curtain, just
something like that.
Through somewhat deceptive means, Dr. Bergman managed to get her hands on some
never mind, she just went full Catwoman style.
2000 clearance credentials,
I guess,
decided to access the file on an encrypted personal device. They'd never even know. But as she entered the credentials, she found herself suddenly looking at an image. On its face, nothing. An image of a dirt road in a field with tiny white text reading, "Remember us." But this was a powerful cognito-hazardous image capable of causing—
Dude, that's like an ancient civilization, right? There's like some ancient tribe that lived on these lands, and we bulldozed over their resting grounds for a highway. There's like a Motel 6 and a casino down the road.
Immediate incapacitation. The next thing she knew, she was laying on the ground, unconscious. When she woke up, she was no longer a doctor at the SCP Foundation. She was on a street corner, unable to remember her own name, let alone her history. All she could do was murmur something about a secret under Yellowstone National Park. Dr.
Yellowstone! Dude, I've been saying, the world needs some more volcanic activity to shake things up a bit, dude. There's not enough volcanic activity recently. Yellowstone?
Years of service had
that would be a show. That would be a show.
In the end, SCP-2000 is an anomalous asset so vital to not only the Foundation, but the entire world, that so much as attempting to access it without the proper clearance leads to immediate termination. But what's really hidden under Yellowstone National Park? And why are the Foundation higher-ups so intent on keeping it secret, even from most of their own ranks? Of course, Yellowstone National Park itself is no stranger to anomalous activity. The entire national park is technically an SCP.
Yeah, man, there's like
creepy 1422.
Like crackheads.
Well, it since has been
there's a giant super volcano underneath, broiling a molten pit of burning lava that in just the blink of an eye can obliterate half the United States, a lot of Canada, probably even most of Mexico.
SCP.
You can say goodbye to Wyoming, dude. Not that many people are gonna miss it, right? Not that many people have an emotional attachment to Wyoming, but dude, you can kiss Wyoming goodbye.
1422 caused all members of the SCP Foundation to have no awareness of Yellowstone National Park prior to 2007. But the true nature of SCP-2000, the secret hidden under Yellowstone National Park, is not only stranger than SCP-1422, but also, depending on your perspective, either profoundly relieving or utterly terrifying. But before you can truly understand the purpose and gravity of SCP-2000, or the Deus Ex Machina, we need to talk about
the what?
Gravity of SCP-2000, or the Deus Ex Machina,
the Deus Ex Machina. That sounds like some forbidden technique in an anime, right? Like they each, it's like a fighting style, right? And it's like forbidden. You're not allowed to use the Deus Ex Machina, right? That'll split the world in half, literally.
Need to talk about the end of the world.
I was right! I was right!
Deus Ex Machina. We need to talk about the end of the world. In Foundation parlance, K-class scenarios are events which have drastic implications on the state of society, normality, or even life. The most dangerous and feared of all of these are XK class scenarios, which are, for all intents and purposes, the apocalypse. There are a worrying number of anomalies capable of bringing about an XK class scenario if the Foundation ever drop the ball on their protection or containment. While the Foundation believes that prevention is always preferable to the cure, what happens when prevention doesn't work? What happens when our worst fears are realized, and the end truly comes for us all? The answer is, SCP-2000 happens. Simply put, the anomaly is a reset button, a chance to start over when all life has been compromised by anomalous activity. 2000 is a giant and mysterious facility beneath Yellowstone National Park. The entrance is disguised as a disused park.
So the SCP is the entire building.
And all life
it's not one being, it's just
compromised by anomalous activity.
It's just a nuclear bunker.
2000 is a giant and mysterious facility beneath.
It's not gonna stop you from a guy like me, you know?
Yellowstone National Park. The entrance is disguised as a disused park ranger station, feeding into a
Grandma's house!
Facility that burrows miles down into the earth. It's a place that contains incredible anomalous technologies capable of bringing the world back to its former glory, even after the worst happens. Only a select few personnel are allowed to work at the facility, keeping its machinery maintained in case the day comes where we ever need to use it again. These personnel are not allowed to come and go as they please, and their memories of 2000 are wiped if they're ever reassigned to different Foundation duties elsewhere. Why all the secrecy?
Interesting.
SCP-2000 is the Foundation's and humanity's lifeboat.
So it holds all of the secrets to life on Earth, dude. You can cause a total apocalypse, dude. Give me that. That's all I need, dude. I don't even need that little alligator, right? I don't need that alligator. I don't need any of that. I don't need any of that. Right, that big, like the big ass, like the tall, skinny dude.
SCP-2000 is the Foundation's
hand me the, that's like the Infinity Gauntlet. Just hand me the apocalypse. Let me snap my fingers.
Humanity's lifeboat. And as such, the base is well guarded both from potential human threats as well as anomalous activity and reality warpers. The surface-level entrance to the base is surrounded by a number of strategically placed Scranton Reality Anchors, or SRAs. These devices, largely constructed of corrosion-resistant beryllium bronze alloy, keep certain type of reality-bending anomalies from manifesting their powers within the vicinity of the base. However, these are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the state-of-the-art Foundation technology employed within and around SCP-2000. You probably have a lot of questions, and that's understandable. What kind of technology can possibly reverse an apocalypse? And what did we mean when we said we may need to use it again? Well, listen up, because this is going to be a lot to take in. SCP-2000 is
Thanos was a true story.
Powered by a liquid fluoride thorium reactor, stabilized by 5 Xiank Anastasicos constant temporal sinks.
SO-5 who?
Stabilized by 5 Xiank Anastasicos constant temporal sinks.
5 Xiank Anastasicos.
And host.
What is this, dude?
To the most miraculous technology of all. 500,000 bright Zartion hominoid replicators.
Zontion, dude.
500,000.
We're watching Dragon Ball Z, bro.
Bright Zartion hominoid replicators. Utilizing geothermal energy from the volcanic activity in the area, the base could potentially remain operational forever if Foundation staff kept up with maintenance. The grand majority of the space in this huge subterranean facility is taken up by building materials, construction equipment, factory machinery, agricultural equipment, and computer database storage. Why? Well, let's explain the process of the
you tell me, that's why I'm here.
and how it relates to the activities of SCP-2000. In any K-class or end-of-the-world scenario that doesn't destroy SCP-2000 in the process, any surviving Foundation member can enact Procedure CYA-009, while any Foundation facilities globally can monitor the unfolding situation. While SCP-2000 is waiting for the—
I don't know. I don't know if we could just give that kind of power to somebody, dude. Like, what if it's just what if it's just Old Man Joe? Right? Old Man Joe is responsible for reversing the apocalypse and restoring all of humanity back to the way it once was, flourishing. And you just want to put that power in the hands of Old Man Joe. You just expect Old Man Joe to just go ahead and flip that switch, dude. Make sure he flips the right switch. Right, there's two switches. One says reverse doomsday, the other one says doomsday. He pushes it again, calls it twice.
Scenario that doesn't destroy SCP-2000 in the process,
Fucking Joe.
Any surviving Foundation member can enact Procedure CYA-009, while any Foundation facilities globally can monitor the unfolding situation. While SCP-2000 is waiting for the all-clear to do its thing, remaining Foundation sites set in motion what is known as the Ganymede Protocol. This involves collecting and preserving materials which could be useful during the recreation process. However, it's extremely possible that in a sudden XK-class end-of-the-world scenario, there may be no surviving Foundation personnel, or at least, not enough to maintain.
But you know who is survived? Old Man Joe.
Kind of organization. Thankfully, there are fail-safe measures for such a scenario. During the periods of extended inaction caused by an apocalypse that destroys most human life,
Old Man Joe.
SCP-2000 will gradually, autonomously relax its security measures. Any personnel, regardless of clearance, will be able to activate the next stage of the process when this occurs. If such a thing doesn't happen for an extended period, the security measures lapse further, to the point that even the presence of an animal could activate it. This would set into motion Procedure Lazarus-01, humanity's last hope for survival. That's where the— Could
you imagine humanity's last hope, the only thing that could restore humanity, preserve its existence, is one grasshopper. One grasshopper, he just got lost, right? It's that dumbass grasshopper, right? You know, all those in like the cartoons, right? It feels like a grasshopper universe, a bug universe. That's the dumb one. Just happens to get lost. It just so happens to activate a machine, restoring humanity.
Lazarus-01, humanity's last hope for survival.
That's Old Man Joe! Oh my god!
That's where the 500,000 bright Zartion Hominoid Replicators, or BZHRs, come in.
Right,
These incredible pieces of anomalous
of
technology are capable of perfectly cloning the entire human race from any given period in the last 20 years, even down to their ages and—
Let's clone 1998. I think that's a good spot. That's a sweet spot. Let's restore to that point. 1998. I feel like that's right before all of the crises. And then do we respawn with the knowledge of what once was? Right, like Thanos, he snapped, and then they re-snapped, everybody came back, and then everybody knew what happened. Everybody's like, damn, we dipped, or we dusted, or whatever, you know?
Memories, thanks to Class G hallucinogens and—
Past 20 years, so 2020 is the earliest at this point. Great, that's right about the time where I stopped feeling joy.
Developmental hypnotherapy. With a warm-up period of 5 days, these machines are capable of creating 100,000 viable, non-anomalous humans per day. The facility keeps records of all known human alleles, and is capable of recreating any lost human genomes or generating as many new and unique—
Can you take requests? Right, like if they've already spawned you, can be like, hey, can you spawn me a baddie, dude? I'll repopulate. Don't get me wrong, dude. You know, you just picture your dream girl, they just spawn it in for you.
Genomes as necessary to repopulate human civilization.
Like that Bella Porch song, right? Build a bitch.
Which humans the machines generate depends on the period of time the machine is ordered to replicate. It will first reproduce prominent cultural and political figures, as well as the acting top brass of the SCP Foundation to coordinate the recreation effort, of course. The machine will then recreate, well...
Nice! They recreated Donald Trump before they recreated the oversight of the operation. That's wonderful.
Cultural and political figures, as well as the acting top brass of the SCP Foundation to coordinate the recreation effort, of course. The machine will then recreate, well,
bringing JFK back, dude.
You're probably wondering, if the world outside SCP-2000 has been destroyed, then what good is creating all these new humans if they have nothing to go back to? Thankfully, SCP-2000 has a contingency for rebuilding both the infrastructure of civilization as well as society itself. The first-generation clones will have one mission: rebuild, and they will have quite literally all the resources in the world to do it. In addition to having all the physical equipment for buildings and agriculture.
Where have I seen this before? Where have I seen this before? Bringing people to an unfamiliar place, having them work and build a civilization from the ground up for the betterment of other members of society. Where have I seen that before?
Sure. SCP-2000 stores an immense amount of data, which is appropriate.
Dude, we really are restoring humanity history, bro. That's crazy.
Considering the whole facility is basically a huge backup drive for life
History does repeat itself, I guess.
They have the entire internet backed up, as well as the sum of all human memory, and a wide cultural base with copies of thousands of famous works of art, music, and literature. They have all the scattered jigsaw pieces of the time that came before, and it's their job to put the whole thing back together. It's expected that many of the first generation...
Nice, they just fuck up the whole timeline. They just fuck up the whole timeline, dude. Like, the baby's newest single. They're like, oh yeah, he dropped this in 1934. Oh yeah, definitely. Right, Lil Pump dropped Gucci Gang in 1629 in Rome. He started his life as a tomato seller. Eventually moved his way on to become a SoundCloud rapper.
Clones will die in this process, but that's fine. With the BZHRs working at full capacity, anyone can be replicated. As the population increases and spreads across the globe, rebuilding and recolonizing old settlements, population growth will increase exponentially. Once society returns to some kind of normal, decades after the activation of Procedure Lazarus 01, it becomes the Foundation's task to restore the psychological and historical status quo. Administrators will falsify dendrochronological, astronomical, and radiometric dating records to make it seem as though history never paused. They'll then employ amnestic agent NUE-5 en masse to erase and reconstruct the memories of the entire human population up until the chosen time prior to the end of the world. As far as civilization knows, nothing ever happened. History never stopped.
Nice.
Life goes on. It may seem comforting at first to know that the ultimate contingency is out there. Even if there's a containment breach of astronomical proportions and the world as we know it ends, there's still
I know she's got something to do with this.
It means that there's hope, even in the bleakest situations. But of course, there are always...
You hear that? So in the event of a total global catastrophe, an apocalypse that wipes out all of civilization, no need to fear. Old Man Joe is going to restore us back to normal.
Caveats. After all, if a deal seems too good to be true, it's safe to assume it probably is. Whether any of this
Lil Pump's gonna be history books for the Renaissance.
Factors. The first is that no anomalies or human insurgents infiltrate the SCP-2000 facility and destroy the equipment within. It's for this reason that discussion of the facility is so restrictive. If ever a powerful reality warper discovered and gained access to the facility, we would lose our lifeboat. The second factor is the overall...
I don't know about that. They can steal our anti-apocalypse machine, but they can't steal Old Man Joe. That's the real key here. In this whole thing, they're talking about, right, the SCP-2000 and the computer, and then... but somebody's got to push that button. Somebody's got to push that button. So you can protect the machine all you want. But if you don't have anybody pushing that button, it's not going to do nothing. Old Man Joe is the key to humanity's survival.
Integrity of the machines. After all, without proper maintenance, it's not hard for the technology to malfunction, often to truly horrifying results. The failure of some SRA and X-Ax components is believed to have caused erroneous BZHR activity, resulting in the production of 10 million humanoid entities with internal biology wildly inconsistent with humanity. These beings remained unconscious for 5 weeks before dying. In the event of an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario, well-maintained machines can reproduce the human race, but all it'd take is one little malfunction to release 10 million mutants who are effectively dead on arrival. Even with SCP-2000 in our back pocket, the fate of the world still lives on a knife's edge, but in a way that's not even the most frightening.
Even if with SCP-2000, the world still needs Old Man Joe.
Part of the existence of SCP-2000, seeing as the machine can perfectly reproduce reality without leaving a trace behind. It raises the question, how many times has this happened? You may be surprised, but the Foundation can confirm this occurred at least twice in recorded history. But can you ever really be sure of how many times your clone has crawled out of the BZHR? We received a disturbing clue to the reality.
Could you imagine? We are in a matrix. Everything is just, we're just players. We're just Sims characters. Every time we die, we just respawn with new clothes on. Right, a new hairdo. Maybe like a new occupation. Something like that. Maybe a little slightly different attitude. Right, but your girl looks exactly the same, right? You got the same cat, same car. Because you can't really afford to buy the in-game currency to buy anything better. Don't really want to spend the time to earn it, you know?
The situation when human
so you just get the free shit.
Remains were discovered on site at SCP-2000.
That's why everybody got Honda Civics. Where do you think all the Honda Civics came from?
Tests indicate that the remains are between 450 and 700 years old, and have been matched to the very much alive Dr. Alto Clef, who has no knowledge of how these remains came to be there. The only other thing found within the remains
that sounds like an
was
STD.
hermetically sealed in a plastic document sleeve. The note read, "Why did we have to build this thing? When did we do it? How long have we been doing it? Do we even know?" And the answer? No, we don't. And for everyone's peace of mind, it's probably best to just forget about it, if you can. Now go check out SCP-096
Nice, dude!
The Shy Guy and SCP-087 The Stairwell for more
Nice! So to me, it sounds like the real SCP is Old Man Joe. The dumb, wandering grasshopper is the key to the survival, the preservation of humanity, the reversal of a total extinction, apocalyptic global event. Old Man Joe will save us. We are safe in the arms of Old Man Joe.